Now, I don't think anyone's naive enough to think that when you move to Africa, there's no problems. So people are coming with their hard-earned money, their investment, their retirement fund or whatever, and they're being scammed. Who sent you? You must be undercover. You must be doing something. And then they said that you're also going to have to pay for forensics. So if he had known about these things before he had moved to Uganda, he would have stayed in America. Why did no one tell me? No one said it. No one told me. Like, it's a thing. Gatekeeping is a business. Let's just say it as that. Sorry if you're an influencer. I'm sorry if you're an influencer, but like, can I go home now? Like, I've had enough. And hey guys, welcome back. All right. Today's video, I want to address a video that I saw online from Oshay Duke Jackson on his channel Kenganda. I watched the video yesterday, and Oshay, from what I've seen, I've never come across a video where Oshay has done a live stream for an hour. In fact, it was over an hour. And so that's what intrigues me, because I was like, why is he doing a live stream? He never does. His videos are always very, very polished and pre-recorded. So I was interested to see what the video was about. So I watched it yesterday, and he basically went into a rant about Africa and some of the things that he felt were unfair here. And you know what, as I listened to him, I thought to myself, he's actually making a lot of sense. He's saying things that a lot of people would like to do, but are scared to do. Now, there's this whole thing in Ghana where, not even in Ghana, in Africa, where things happen and we don't talk about it. We sweep it under the carpet. And a lot of the issues he'd spoken about, I've actually spoken about in some of my previous videos. So not all in one video, but I've broken it down into several videos where you may get a hint of it. But he was very direct. And he basically said what he had to say on camera. And there were even a few people coming into the comments and were like, aren't you scared for your life? And he was like, nah, he's not scared. He's just saying what he was saying. He was ranting, but he was actually being very serious about what he's saying. And some of the points he brought up were actually very, very valid. And so I'm going to touch on some of those things. Right. One of the things he said is he doesn't like the fact that Africa is being marketed towards Americans.
In whatever trials and tribulations that you are going through, you're having with certain people here or with these people here, you're supposed to eat it. Okay? You're supposed to kiss ass. You're supposed to be okay with every type of problem that they give you. Now, you got to understand, they don't want to deal with your problems at all. They don't deal with your problems in America. When they come to the United States, they don't deal with your issues. We're going to be fair. Most Africans will stay away from Black Americans for whatever reasons, cultural stuff. So they don't want to deal with Black Americans' problems in America at all. And I can understand that. But when you're here, you got to deal with their problems. And they're going to make you deal with their problems. Okay? But you can't say nothing about it. And pay your money, give us your money, invest. And when you talk about us, make sure you market us to the rest of the world as if ain't nothing wrong.
Because when Americans come, they're going to see things and they're not going to be quiet about those things. They're going to talk about them. They're going to go onto social media. They're going to turn on the camera and they're going to say what they see as they see it, right? Americans are very direct. And so that's what's going to happen. So you're inviting Americans to move to Africa and experience what Africa is, but not everything in Africa is perfect. There are some things that are annoying, some things that are frustrating, and those are the things that we're going to talk about. And, you know, when you do these types of videos, it's hard when you are from that culture. And so you can kind of see both sides. I can see that by speaking about these things, being of African heritage, right, that you're not supposed to bring up these things. Even though they're there, you're not supposed to bring it up. And so hearing someone say it direct like that, it is kind of harsh, but it's also, there's a lot of truth in it. Now, when he's talking about Africa being marketed to Americans, that is very, very true, I would say, because they are the biggest group, right? So Africa gets promoted to Americans, come back home, we got you, this is the lifestyle you can have, these are amazing things, these are the lifestyle benefits that you can experience when you move here, right? But there is a lot wrong with it. Infrastructure is a huge problem in Africa. Now, I don't think anyone's naive enough to think that when you move to Africa, there's no problems. We're not expecting a duplicate of the West in Africa. But there are some things that are basic that are a problem in Africa for a lot of people. And I'm not just talking about Americans, even for British people, wherever, anybody from the West, there are things that are an issue. And there's no easy solution to some of these things. Infrastructure, yes, okay, we could say that, okay, well, you know, if the government was to get themselves together, we wouldn't have these problems. But there's certain other things. Now, one of the other things that he mentioned was gatekeeping. And gatekeeping here in Africa is huge. And what I mean by gatekeeping is when people have information and they hold on to that information so that you can't get in, so that you're not able to access certain things, certain services, certain benefits that the country may have. You can't get because you have to go through this security person, this gatekeeper. And it's very, very true here because most people want you to pay for something. So it's almost like you are asking Americans to come back. I'm going to use Americans because that's what the video, he directly spoke to Americans, right? So you're asking Americans to come back and to experience these things, but then you're gatekeeping on the information and you want them to pay. Now, for the most part, in his video, he said that, you know, most people are happy to pay, but it's like it becomes annoying when it's over expected. Like in every single thing that you do, you have to pay. And even when you do pay, you still don't even get all the information that you want. And as I watched the video, I feel like he's more frustrated about the whole citizenship thing, right? Because a lot of African countries are promoting, come be a citizen in this country, you know, and people are charging for these services. So people are saying, okay, move to this country, we'll give you citizenship for this fee. And well, actually, then either they revoke the citizenship or people are on the ground are charging and there's not supposed to be a charge. And so it's making it harder for people. So there's like lots of scams and things happening and people are not talking about it. And there is no protection when it comes to being scammed in Africa. So people are coming with their hard-earned money, their investment, their retirement fund or whatever, and they're being scammed. And there's no repercussion in some of these things. Honestly, if you get scammed, it's like, well, I'm sorry that you got scammed. Nothing is going to happen. And it's not fair, and it is what it is. And I think for some of us that have been in Africa for a long time, we're used to these things. And to some respects, we get desensitized to it because it's like, oh, that's how it is. It's like you get scammed. It's like, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. You can stamp your feet, you can have a full-on tantrum, but no one cares. No one's going to do anything about it. And these are some of the things that Oshay is bringing up because it's frustrating that there are no repercussions for people who are breaking the law, who are doing things. And it's not even just like us regular folk that are even breaking the law. It's people that are higher up, people that you would expect more from, that are taking advantage of, you know, people just trying to build a better life for themselves. And so he was really, really, really frustrated in the video. And yeah, it was just, I felt his pain. But a video like that is tough to do, and not everybody will do a video like that because, you know, for some of us, we're still in Africa. We can't talk about things. We can't sit here and say, oh, the government this, the government that, when you're living in a particular country, right? It's hard to say things like that. Even though we all know it happens, you can't just say what you want to say because of the way that the culture is.
You literally will get scammed here in Africa. You will lose your money in Africa. And don't nobody care about your experience. At the same time, why they marketing to you? All you're going to get is sorry about that. That's all they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you nothing else. I'm sorry. Jeremiah Kasimba, go sit on it. Okay? That's all they're going to tell you is I'm sorry. Nothing else. You risk your stuff. Ain't no protections for your ass over here. For the most part, they want you to take the risk. Come over here. Come do this. Now, to be fair, I'm gonna say this: Uganda never really says that. So but most countries is even inviting y'all over there. Now they trying to even take you over to Burkina Faso, where your ass don't have no level of a chance to really do nothing over there. Even if you were to get residency, who that cares about you takes you to Burkina Faso? Tell me one person. It's almost like this. Listen.
When you're part of the culture, you can't just speak outright because there are other repercussions for you. And so even for me, even the things that I do say, people come after me and they say to me, like, why are you talking about this? Why do you have to do that? Who sent you? And that's another thing that's actually very, very annoying. And he had it too, where because you're speaking about something that you've experienced or something that you know to be true, people are like, well, who sent you? You must be undercover. You must be doing something. You're a plant, you're this and the other. No, it's not. A lot of these issues are things that we need to speak about in order for us to get better, in order for things to be broken down. And it's a painful experience to go through, but we have to go through it if we really want to be able to open our gates for people to come into Africa. Then we have to be, there's got to be compromise on both sides, right? We can't expect people to come in and be a part of the culture and embrace the culture when we're making it difficult for them at the same time. We're giving them frustrations. People are losing money. I dread to think if we were to be able to calculate how much money people have lost within scams, whether it's land scam, whatever kind of scam it is, how much money that really is. There are people that have moved to Africa, lost their savings through scams and have just gone back and there's been nothing happened. He in particular broke down an experience where he had a laptop stolen from his house and he called the police and then he had to bring the police to his house. You have to pay for these things. And I know that to be true because it happened to me in Ghana. I've been robbed in Ghana before. This was many years ago. And we called the police and the police were like, well, if you want us to come there, you have to give us fuel money first. So like, okay. And then I remember being advised, someone just said, just leave it because nothing is going to happen. So it's like for every level that you want to climb, you're going to have to pay a bit of extra money. So you pay for them to come out in the first instance, right? And then they said that you're also going to have to pay for forensics. So someone who will come and look for fingerprints, you're going to have to pay that person too. Then you have to pay them to do their job. And then you have to make sure there's fuel for them to go back. And if you want them to investigate, you have to make sure that you continue to drip money. It's by the time you've done all those things, it's just not worth it. Your time, your money, your resources, it's just not worth it. You get frustrated. So then there's no repercussion for anybody. So that a lot of the time, people just leave these things. It's like, what can you do about it? You can go and complain. Sometimes there are these offices that are supposed to be set up for the diaspora to help them in situations like this. But whether or not they really work, I don't know. I've never used one because by the time I pay people to get the information to find out who I need to speak to, I'm just like, it's okay, I'm tired. And so I leave it. So these are some of the things that he was really trying to highlight, the frustrations. And I think something that really stood out for me that he said was, if he had known about these things before he had moved to Uganda, he would have stayed in America. And I thought that was such a powerful statement because it kind of saddened me to hear him say that because I feel like the amount of time that I've been in Ghana, he's pretty much been in Uganda. Or he had been going, I think when I moved to Ghana, he had been going back and forth to Uganda. I can't remember if he was there permanently or not. But I feel like he's one of the few that has really tried and stuck it out. So for him to say that was kind of crushing, really, because, if you think about it, he's given people jobs, employment. He believes in fairness in certain things. And for someone to feel this knocked that they had to do this video where he's come to that level of frustration, it's pretty deep, He said that he's struggling to even produce videos because it's almost like he doesn't want to encourage more people to come to Africa anymore because of the things that are happening in the background that people are not talking about. There's no solution to some of these problems. It's like more people are just walking into this trap. We're all just falling into it, one after the other. And that is why it's so important that we talk. That is why it's so important when I do these videos and some of you think that, oh, I'm being negative. Why do you have to be so negative? Can't we talk about the positive things? No, we can't. Because you know what? There's about 100 other channels that will talk about all the positive things. And I'm not saying that Ghana or Africa is not great. It is. But it's important that we address the things that actually need addressing too and not just the wonderful things. Otherwise, when you move to Ghana or to Africa, you're going to stumble and face these same problems. And the first thing you're going to do is, why did no one tell me? No one said it. No one told me. We're trying to tell you, but when we try to talk, a lot of you shut us down. We get slammed for it. Why do you have this? Must you always talk about the negative? It's not the negative. It's highlighting things so that we can solve the problem and so that no one else has these same negative experiences. Because honestly speaking, we do want you to come to Africa and have a good time in the best way possible. But there are challenges. This is a developing place, right? And so it's got issues. So we are trying to highlight some of these issues to you and be as real as possible, but we're being stopped. We can't say everything that we want to say on camera. We can't. Even some of the biggest YouTubers can't say what they want to say on camera because of the backlash that comes from it. And you can sit there wherever you are and say, oh, just talk your talk. It's not like that. Especially when you have the African culture in you. You cannot just sit on camera and say whatever you want. It just doesn't work like that. It's so hard to share what it's like to be in the culture if you're not in fully embracing it. Until you've lived here for some time, you won't fully understand what I'm trying to say when I say the culture. But it's very difficult to just be outspoken because Africa is so community based. So when you do certain things, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody within your community. So you have to be careful, or you have to have tact about what you're saying. So the video that Oshay did, I'm not surprised it got the comments that it did get. And when I looked at the comment section, a lot of the comment section was from African Americans. A lot of people were telling them, oh, come home, come home. Africa's not meant to be for us. We're FBA, we're this, that, and the other, you know. And Oshay's response was very much, well, if you guys want to pay for my visa, because I'm not leaving here until at least my visa has run out, I'm not coming back. I don't think, and I don't know Oshay that well, but I know him, but I don't know him that well. I don't think in my interactions with Oshay that he will go home. I could be wrong. I don't think he will. I think he is experiencing what a lot of us have experienced who already understand the culture, and he's bringing it on camera and he's showing his levels of frustration. For those of us that are African, we know this because we're all suffering it. There are things that we suffer that we just don't speak about. We just grin and bear it and we just move on because we know nothing is going to happen from speaking about it. No one's going to do anything. It's just going to continue. You know, someone once said that if you want there to be change, you almost have to wipe everyone out and start again. No, I'm not supporting that, or let me just put that. I'm not supporting that. I'm just saying what someone said. But I can understand what that theory is, because when it comes to things like corruption and things that are wrong with the system, a lot of it you can't change because it goes so high up. We don't really see it in the West because in the West we're not big enough to come across those things. We're so small. We're so small in our everyday lives that we don't necessarily see those things. But in Africa, right, the degree of separation is so much smaller that these things affect you in your everyday lives, and it feels some type of way, especially when you're coming from the West and you're hoping to get this experience of Africa and the beauty of Africa and just live a completely different lifestyle, right? It's a shock to your system and you can't quite understand it. And the things that Oshay is talking about in his video are things that you won't really understand unless you've lived in Africa for a long period of time. And you really need to mature. You need to mature in Africa to be able to see what he's talking about. So if you haven't been here, it's easy to say, oh, just pack up and leave. That doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't actually do anything. And it's like you don't know what the solution is. That's what's frustrating. You don't know what the solution is in order to be able to move forward. You're almost just stuck in it. And no one knows how to change it. So I can sit here and say, oh, these are the problems. But really, what's the way forward? The way forward is to scrap everybody and start again. I don't know. What is the way forward? I don't know. But these are very real frustrations. Ghanaians, they deal with it. Ghanaians that haven't even left the country deal with some of these issues that Oshay is bringing up. Gatekeeping. very commonplace, very, very common. Like, it's a thing. Gatekeeping is a business. Let's just say it as that. Gatekeeping is a business, because you want information. I've got the information for you, but I'm not going to give it to you until you pay me first. That's how it is. Or I'm not going to give it to you until you pay me, and then I'll link you to the person that can do this for you. It goes even as deep as people that you would consider your friends. It's in the culture. So that is what they're going to, even though they're your friends, sometimes you still have to pay them in order for them to release the information for you to be able to do whatever you need to do. It's commonplace here. It's how it is. So either you buy into it and you accept it for what it is, or you're going to get extremely frustrating. And I'm not saying it's right, but that is how it is. And then he goes on to talk about the no accountability aspect. I did a whole video on this no accountability thing, and the video was also about, you know, everyday forgive. Ghanaians are forever forgiving. We're forever forgiving something with no, nobody is accountable for anything. Every day is a new day of grace. You know, no matter what you do, tomorrow is another day of grace. And that's great, but there still has to be accountability, and that's what he's talking about. You do something that you should be held accountable to your actions. Now, I'm going to have to clear this up, because in the previous video I did, people misunderstood what I said. I'm not talking about being violent in any way. That's not what I mean when I talk about accountability. When I talk about accountability, I mean pulling up someone and letting them know that you did this X, Y, Z, and it is wrong, and maybe there are repercussions, whether that is you got sacked from your job, whatever that repercussion is, there needs to be some type of repercussion. Otherwise, it ends up in this cycle. And again, this is the whole religion thing that comes into Africa, right? Because we have brought so much into religion, we are constantly feeling like we're in this state of forgiveness where everything can be forgiven all the time. And I'm not saying don't forgive, but where's the accountability in that? It's almost like we know that if we have nothing else, somebody is going to forgive, because religion tells you that you have to forgive. So, you know, this too shall be wiped away. And that is, it's a problem for us. It's a problem for us, because really we use that as a crutch. We use that to get away with whatever we want to get away with. There is no accountability. People will do whatever they want, because tomorrow they'll say sorry to God and God will forgive them. And that is it. And that's how they live their lives. There's nothing outside of that. That's just what they believe, and that is it. And so it makes things harder for us, because I feel like if that whole religion thing wasn't so strong and embedded into the culture, you know, if you do something bad, you feel bad. It's not just, you can't just put it down to, okay, well, it's between me and God, and as long as God has forgiven me, everybody else must forgive me, and then you continue to do whatever you want. Every day you do something wrong, and every day you're forgiven. No, you must realize that there are repercussions to what you do, and a lot of the time there is no accountability. So something else he said was that Americans don't steal from Africans, but Africans steal from Americans. Again, I thought this was a very interesting point. And what he meant by that was, or I'm assuming this is what he meant by it, he feels like when Americans come to Ghana, right, people are always trying to scam, I'm putting that in quotation marks, right, them out of money, seeing how they can get an extra bit of money from you. You know, I read a comment on one of my videos today where someone said that they were charged 75 cedis for 2 coconuts. Coconut is around 7 cedis, so that should be 14 cedis for 2 coconuts, but the person was trying to charge them 75 cedis. And so it's instances like that where people are continuously being scammed, right, or continuously being expected to pay more for something that somebody else wouldn't be expected to pay that much for, just because they don't know what the real price is, or because they look like they can afford it. And so when he's talking about Africans stealing from Americans, he means that way. And he's trying to say that when Americans come to Africa, they're not trying to steal from Africans, which I get his point to a degree, but I don't know if that's really a comparison that can be made. I don't know, because what are you going to steal from Africans? I don't know. When we look at the value of the currency, like, how much am I going to steal from Africans in that sense to make it a statement? But anyway, that was his statement. I thought it was interesting. But again, I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact that, you know, every time Africans are trying to scam Americans or trying to steal from them. I don't think that's right. I feel like Africans are more looking for a leg up, right? It's almost like, for a lot of us, if we were put into a certain situation, we are going to do what we can to get out, because that's the survival instincts that we have, right? So it's not even necessarily that you're a bad person. Sometimes you're just looking for someone or a way out of your situation. So you don't necessarily want to scam, but you want to be able to use someone in order to make your life better. So whether that's through friendship or whatever, like whether you like the person or you don't really like the person, you're going to tolerate this person because the person can get you to where you need to go in order for you to get where you need to get. And so I think it's more so that than we're always trying to scam. So the person that was charging 75 cedis for 2 coconuts, yes, it's wrong. He also said that he doesn't think that there's any influencer out there that genuinely cares about Africa. Oof, that one kind of hurt me actually, because I don't believe that that's true. I believe that for the most part, a lot of people that move back to Africa don't have it all together, whether that be financially or whatever. They don't have it all together. So because you can't employ 20 people, or because you haven't established a business where you are able to hire people and pay above rate, right? I don't think that that means that you don't care about the country, because he mentioned Go Black to Africa, and he says Go Black to Africa is, he said, probably the one content creator that he could point out that is the same on camera as off camera. And yeah, okay, that might be true, but I don't think I wouldn't go as far as saying he's the only influencer. I believe that a lot of influencers do actually care about the country. Now, there are going to be some influencers that, they're just there because of content, and that's fine. But there are people that genuinely care, but sometimes we can't do that through the money that we have. Very frustrated, so I can understand where that comment was coming from. And again, there are people who are going to take advantage. But I would say that the people that do that are probably the ones that are going to sell you the dream of what it's like to be here, so that you can, I have a problem when people, I'm going to say this, I'm sorry if you're an influencer. But some influencers that come, they've been in the country 1 month and they consider themselves that they live there now. And now they want to sell you a course, and they want to teach you how to live in Ghana, and they want to teach you all this stuff when they haven't even had their own baptism yet. You know how long it takes to adjust to the culture of being in Africa? You need at least 5 years. I'd say even 5 to 10 years before you can really get a full grasp of what it's like to live and understand and be a part of what it really means to be here. And so a lot of these influencers that come up and I want to help you move to Ghana and all of that stuff, for me, you know what I'm saying. I don't even need to finish my sentence, you know what I'm saying. He also said that Africans have this survival mentality. Now, this is something that I've spoken about again, right? Where, I call it poverty mentality, right? So even if they now have money, it's almost like they're so scared to going back to times where they don't have money that when they have money, they hold on to it with everything, right? Anyways, I believe that throughout his whole rant, it was pretty much came down to the fact that he felt like there's a lot of injustices and there's no protection for those that are moving to the continent, which I would say is very, very true. But I think if you are deciding to move to Africa, I think you definitely need your wits about you. You need to have a community around you that can support you before you make certain decisions, especially financial decisions, because so many people have fallen into problems because they've tried to go it alone. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work in Africa. You have to have a community of people that can help steer you in the right direction. And although I feel like Oshay's feeling very heated right now, and so he's like doing back-to-back videos, just definitely go check out his channel. He's doing back-to-back videos right now. I feel like his frustrations are valid, but really, again, there's not really a solution a straightforward solution to some of the things that he's talking about. But you know what I'm trying to say out from this video is, when those of us come and want to speak the truth, don't stop us from speaking, right? Allow us to help you by speaking about these things. It's not about trying to create drama or trying to get clicks, as some of you think. It's not that. We're literally trying to help you in the best way that we can. And so allow us to speak and allow us to tell you what our experiences are. Because another common thing that a lot of you do is you come on here and you're like, that's not been my experience. Okay, then you're great. That may not have been your experiences, but for a lot of us, these are the experiences that we have. And just because you haven't had the experience doesn't mean that what we experience has been is invalid, right? So that's just something for you guys to think about. But yeah, I feel like there's just a lot going on at the moment, and it's it can be tough to be here. I feel like there are certain points in your journey in moving to Africa where it feels like, you know what, I want to go home now. Like, can I go home now? Like, I've had enough. And that's the reason a lot of people also choose to take breaks. So sometimes people will come for, a certain period, 6 months, a year, whatever, then have to go back and come back just so that they can get a breather and kind of gather themselves. But I think if you make a long-term commitment to being in Africa, then you are going to feel some of these frustrations, and hey, they are justified. They definitely are justified. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that anyway. I think I've said, you can read between some of the lines in what I'm saying, but yeah, he had a lot to say, and his frustrations are for sure very, very valid. And a lot of us will say things off camera, but not on camera, because that's just how we do. But anyway, I might end the video right there, because you know what? There's only so much I can say about that. If you want to know more about what I'm saying, you can watch some of my previous videos and listen carefully without just jumping to conclusions about certain things. Listen to what I've said in some of the videos, because a lot of what he said, I've already said on camera. I've already said it, but he's just saying it in frustration. But anyway, as I said, I'm going to leave the video there. My membership is open, so I'm going to be doing some videos on my membership side that I'm not going to open up to the public, just because I want to be able to talk about things where, I'm not going to get trolled. I want to talk to people who actually want to hear what I'm saying about certain things. And so my membership is open, so you can go ahead and sign up to that. Also, I'm opened and I am doing consultations. So if you are thinking about moving to Ghana and you'd like a one-to-one consultation, definitely send me an email to dela@moretodela.com. And the Diaspora Business Hub is also open. If you would like to sign up for that, you can find the link in the description box there, and that's it. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed